看護医療系長文頻出英単語400。
Abdomen. Abdominal. Abscess formation. Abscess. Absorption. Acid-base balance. Acute. Adhesion. Administer. Admission. Adverse. Airway obstruction. Alkalosis. Allergy. Allograft. Ambulance. Amputation. Analgesic. Anastomosis. Anatomy. Anemia. Anesthesia. Aneurysm. Angina. Angiography. Angioplasty. Antibiotic. Antibody. Anticoagulant. Antidepressant. Antigen. Antihistamine. Antihypertensive. Antipyretic. Antiretroviral. Antiseptic. Antiviral. Anxiety. Apheresis. Aplastic anemia. Appendicitis. Appetite. Arrhythmia. Arterial blood gas. Arteriosclerosis. Artery. Arthroscopy. Aseptic technique. Asphyxia. Aspiration pneumonia. Aspiration. Assessment. Asthma. Asymptomatic. Atelectasis. Atherosclerosis. Auscultation. Autoclave. Autoimmune. Avulsion. Bacteria. Balloon catheter. Barium enema. Barotrauma. Benign. Bile. Biliary. Biocompatibility. Biopsy. Blood clot. Blood pressure. Bone density. Bone marrow. Bronchiectasis. Bronchitis. Bronchodilator. Bronchoscopy. Cancer. Cannulation. Capnography. Carcinogenesis. Cardiac arrhythmia. Cardiac. Cardiomegaly. Cardiopulmonary. Cardioversion. Catabolic process. Catheter. Catheterization. Cellulitis. Central venous catheter. Cerebral edema. Cerebrospinal fluid. Chelation. Chemotherapy. Cholangiography. Cholecystectomy. Cholelithiasis. Chronic. Circadian rhythm. Circulation. Cirrhosis. Clinical. Clotting factor. Clubbing. Coagulation. Colonoscopy. Colostomy. Coma. Comorbidity. Complication. Congenital. Consciousness. Constipation. Contagious. Contraindication. Contrast medium. Coronary angiogram. Coronary bypass. Cough. Crisis. Cyanosis. Cyanotic. Deep vein thrombosis. Defibrillation. Defibrillator. Deficiency. Dehydration. Demyelination. Depolarization. Dermatitis. Dermatologic. Dermatology. Diabetic ketoacidosis. Diagnosis. Dialysis. Diarrhea. Dietary. Diffusion capacity. Discharge. Disinfect. Diuresis. Diverticulitis. Dizziness. Dosage. Dressing. Drowsiness. Dysarthria. Dysphagia. Dysplasia. Echocardiography. Edema. Efficacy. Electrocardiogram. Electrocautery. Electroencephalogram. Embolism. Emergency. Endocarditis. Endocrinologist. Endocrinology. Endoscope. epidemic, epidemiology, epilepsy, erythrocyte, eschar, examination, excretion, exposure, fatigue, fever, fibrillation, fibromyalgia, fistula, fluoroscopy, fracture, gallstone, gastrointestinal, gastrostomy, gene, genetic, glomerular filtration rate, glucose, hematocrit, hematology, hemodialysis, hemoglobin, hemorrhage, hemostatic, hepatitis, hereditary, histopathology, homeostasis, hormone, hyperlipidemia, hyperplasia, hypertension, hypertensive crisis, hyperthermia, hypokalemia, hypotension, hypovolemia, idiopathic, ileostomy, immune, immunity, immunization, immunocompromised, immunology, incision, incubator, induration, infection, inflammation, informed consent, infusion, inhalation, insulin, intensive care, intracranial, intramuscular, intravenous infusion, intravenous, invasive procedure, ischemic stroke, jaundice, jaundiced, keratopathy, keratosis, kidney, laparoscopy, laparotomy, laryngoscopy, lesion, leukemia, lipid profile, liver cirrhosis, liver, lumbar puncture, lumpectomy, macrophage, magnetic resonance imaging, malabsorption, malignant, malnutrition, mammogram, mastectomy, meconium, medication, metabolism, metastatic, microorganism, migraine, monocyte, nasogastric tube, nasopharyngeal, nausea, neonatology, neoplasm, nephrectomy, neuralgia, neurodegenerative, neurology, neurotransmitter, numbness, obesity, obstetrics, obstruction, oncology, oophorectomy, ophthalmologic, ophthalmology, ophthalmology, orthopedic, orthopedics, orthopnea, osteoporosis, otoscopy, outpatient, palliative care, palliative, palpitation, pancreas, pancytopenia, paracentesis, paralysis, paroxysm, pathogen, pathology, pediatric, pediatrics, pericarditis, peripheral neuropathy, peripheral, peritoneal dialysis, peritonitis, pharmacology, pharmacy, phlebotomy, physician, physiology, plasmapheresis, platelet count, pneumonia, pneumothorax, polyp, postmortem, postoperative, post-traumatic stress disorder, precaution, prescription, prognosis, prolapse, prophylactic, psychiatry, pulmonary, pulmonology, pulse, radiographic imaging, radiography, radiology, radiotherapy, recovery, recurrence, rehabilitation, renal insufficiency, renal, reperfusion, resectable, respiration, resuscitation, retinal detachment, rheumatology, secretion, sedative, seizure, sensation, serology, serum, side effect, sonography, spinal stenosis, spirometry, splenectomy, sputum, stasis dermatitis, stenosis, sterilization, stethoscope, stomachache, stroke, subcutaneous, surgeon, surgery, suture, symptom, syncope, tachypnea, therapeutic, thrombectomy, thrombocytopenia, thrombosis, tissue, tolerance, total parenteral nutrition, toxicity, toxicology, tracheostomy, transfusion, transplant, trauma, tuberculosis, tumor, ulcer, ultrasonography, urinalysis, urodynamic study, urology, vaccination, vasoconstriction, vasodilation, vein, venipuncture, ventilation, ventricular fibrillation, vertigo, vessel, virus, viscosity, vital signs, vomiting, wheel, wheelchair, wound care, wound, xiphoid process, X-ray, yellow fever, zoster,